Where are you from originally?
I'm originally from Michigan.
Detroit?
Detroit area, yes. I went to Royal Oak High School, and that's a suburb of Detroit. And I grew up in an area where there were 450 kids in my high school class, and there were 3 Jews. And most of my friends were Catholic boys who went to the Shrine of the Little Flower, the pastor of which was Father Coughlin, who had actually been
famous Father Coughlin?
Famous Father Coughlin, who had been put into jail during the Second World War because he was such a rabble-rouser against Jews. And those were the kids that I played poker with every night, and were my best friends.
But didn't he pollute their minds against Jews and against...
Actually, my best friend, who grew up in that atmosphere, ended up marrying a Jewish girl. So he did not have any influence. I didn't run into a lot of anti-Semitism, despite the fact that probably 40% of my high school class was Catholic and went to his and heard his sermons every weekend. So it was a little different.
Why was that? Did they not know you were Jewish, or were you not?
No, they definitely knew I was Jewish. There's no question about that. They'd been in my home. They know I was Jewish, and I used to drive into Detroit to go to a Sunday school that was part of a Reform congregation. So that was my. And when I decided to go to Stanford, at that time, they had a quota at Stanford, 6% of the class.
Of the freshman class?
Of the freshman class.
No more than 6% could be Jewish.
That's right. And then my dad had come out to visit the campus, and he asked about Jewish social life, and the dean said, there is no Jewish social life. It's only 6% of the class, but we want your son. And my dad came back and said, do you really want to go there? Well, I had an uncle who had friends that lived on the peninsula, and they had daughters, and he said, don't worry about that. He said, you got admitted, go. And I wanted to come to California, and I said, Dad, going from 1% to 6% is an increase, and I'll get by, which I did. I never had any problems there.
Was there ever an association of Jewish students?
There was not a Hillel when I first went, but within a year we did have a Hillel, and there were, maybe 40 or 50 out of the 90 in my class that went to the Hillel meetings.
Now today, here in 2012, how concerned are you about the anti-Semitism that comes about as a product of the anti-Israel and anti-Zionist reporting in the news and the general sentiments of the vilification and delegitimization of Israel? Do you sense anti-Semitism coming as a product of that?
There is some, and I think that what I'm concerned about is the mainstream Jewish community ignoring it, which I believe they do, and it sort of reminds me of Germany in the 30s, which I studied when I was a political science major. That these things can grow to be serious if you don't stand up against them early. And I think the Islamists have made major inroads into the Jewish community, and it's ridiculous to have Reform congregations allowing Islamists to conduct prayers and propagandize when Jews are basically barred from those activities in a mosque. So I don't think that the Jewish community really realizes the advances and inroads that the the Muslims have made. And I believe that you'll find that degrees of some anti-Semitism often relate to the percentage of Muslims in the local community.
Well, Detroit is a perfect example, and I guess Dearborn is the isolated incident where there used to be Jews in Dearborn.
Oh yeah, I don't think there are too many now, but I think that there's a relationship, and I think you'll find the same thing in Canada, that there's probably more anti-Semitism in Montreal, which has a high Muslim population. I understand the Jewish population in Montreal has declined by about 50% in the last 20 years. And this is disturbing to me. I don't think that there's a growth in anti-Semitism from the so-called skinheads or that kind of thing. I think that there are good Muslims, no question, but they're frightened, they're afraid, and they don't speak out. You don't find CARE, the
Council for American Islamic
Relations, going out and telling Muslims not to kill Jews. I believe the FBI statistics show that they're still sermonizing the imams in 70% of the mosques, that Jews are vermin, etc. Just horrible stuff still going on. And you don't see it being fought like ADL fights discrimination and
from white supremacists,
or things of that nature. They don't tolerate it in the Jewish community, but it's sure tolerated and continue to be sponsored by in the Muslim community, and promoting the very people that are behind it into these interfaith councils, rather than those who stand out against it, is very disturbing to me.
But when on the notion of these interfaith councils, when Muslim clerics come out and they say there's no anti-Semitism in Islam and there's no prejudice within the Muslim community or culture,
and yet we have videos and recordings of them doing the very same thing within their congregations, and not confronting them with it, hoping to make nice, reminds me of Jews who voted for Hitler. And I think the Muslim community has done a great PR job, much better than the Jewish community.
Or than Israel.
And far better than Israel on these issues. In an attempt not to create confrontation, they're actually promoting the spread of anti-Semitism by promoting anti-Semitic Muslims into these councils. There are good Muslims, but unfortunately they're not heard within the Muslim community and often ignored in the Jewish community.
So speaking of elections, you mentioned Germany in the 1930s.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel Jews, Zionism, and Israel have fared under the Obama era, and what do you expect would happen coming this election?
Well, I do feel that the Obama administration has promoted, it's my personal opinion, the Arab Spring, which has been horrible for Israel and horrible for the United States and horrible for the West. If you listen to his Cairo speech, I felt he was encouraging that, and immediately abandoning pro-American leaders in the Arab world, as we did the Shah.
As America did the Shah.
America did the Shah. It's the same thing all over again. I think that